This is Israel leveling an apartment building. Middle of Beirut, broad daylight, taking down an apartment building, people going about their affairs, etc. And boom. Israel has been attacking civilian areas in Lebanon, effectively trying to blackmail the government into allowing it to patrol southern Lebanon, basically to take southern Lebanon. And it's been doing that for the last, month, 2 months or so. For the longest time, when they were doing the air campaign into Lebanon, just murdering women and children, I kept thinking to myself, okay, they seem to be preparing for a ground invasion, meaning they seem to be pushing in order to kind of soften up Hezbollah with the idea that they were going to invade into the ground in order to take the south. That is exactly what they did. I also thought that they were going to run into a buzzsaw the moment that they went to the ground, meaning it's one thing to kill civilians from an airplane. Okay, that's one thing. Israel is prolific at killing women and children. They can do it day in and day out. They can do it for days, providing that the U.S. is given the money and weapons to do so. The moment that you put your troops on the ground, you're going to have to deal with a group of hardened fighters that are very pissed off that A, you've invaded their country, and B, have been slaughtering women and children en masse, either in Gaza or for that matter now in Beirut. They have been trying to do in Beirut what they did in Gaza. But the difference is Hezbollah has more of a fighting contingent than Hamas, meaning they're not in an open air ghetto in the way that Hamas is. And they have battle hardened and have the capability of repulsing and fighting on the ground, especially when it's mano a mano and they're going at one another, not necessarily using this notion of air power, but actually a ground incursion and a ground fight. And that has been what we've been seeing. The reality of it is, I know the West has ran with this notion of triumphalism for Israel. It's our little colony, just like America was a colony. And in the same way that we expanded and we put the Native American or the indigenous population into open air ghettos, they did the same thing in Israel. The biggest difference is modernity. You have the ability to see it, meaning we have been watching a genocide take place over the course for more than a year now. The rest of the world have gotten very angry, and Israel has become a pariah over the course of this year. Netanyahu and Gallant have been charged with war crimes under the International Criminal Court, and the settlements that Israel has been building and the expropriation of land has been deemed illegal by the ICJ. It hasn't stopped them. And it's becoming clear at this point that A, they want to steal parts of Gaza, and B, they want to annex the West Bank, which is what Seymour Hersh is reporting at this point. If you take a cursory glance at that, you may say Israel is winning. But are they safer today than they were before October 7th? And I don't think you can come to an answer of yes to that. And there are several reasons. Don't get me wrong. If you're looking at the death toll, then yes. But the death toll is not what really wins wars. The United States was able to kill 2 million Vietnamese. It didn't stop us from losing that war. Typically, wars are won because you're trying to accomplish military objectives. The catch in this is killing, exterminating, or expelling all of these people just so happens to be part of the military objective, because if they want to take the territory, they would have this kind of greater Israel. The reality of it is, all of the language that is used in the United States completely ignores that part. Meaning when political leaders or when the media is talking about it, they're not talking about it in the context of greater Israel. They're not talking about it in the context of they're committing a genocide because they have an objective that they want to accomplish, which is to steal parts of southern Lebanon, or for that matter, to annex the West Bank, or for that matter, to steal parts of Gaza, and if possible, expel the entirety of the population of Gaza. And the United States would help in that. If you remember, in the very beginning of this, the U.S. was going to Egypt and it was going to Jordan to try to get them to basically take the Palestinian population. Both said no. And they said no for obvious reasons. I mean, for one, you're not going to let them back in. B, Egypt looks at Palestinians, or as Hamas as being part of the Muslim Brotherhood, or at the very least cousins. That's not necessarily something they want to go back into. And Jordan already has a massive contingent of the Palestinian population. This is their home. They want their home back. They want their home back. I think for me, the problem that Israel has, and the reason why I don't think Israel is winning, is because they haven't accomplished their war aims. For example, they're still fighting Gaza. This is after a year. And this is not even fighting a proper military. Israel has nuclear weapons. They do not. They've been able to murder tens of thousands of human beings, but Hamas is still fighting. In regards to the West Bank, the attacks in the West Bank have kicked up. They're still fighting Hezbollah, and they've been stalled. It's stopped on the ground in regards to their incursion. Hezbollah continues to fire the missiles into Israel. So despite the fact that they've been able to decapitate the leadership of Hezbollah, they've still been fighting this war. And those missiles are still firing into Israel. Iran has effectively said recently, as several hours ago, that they are still preparing to attack Israel for the attack that Israel did going back in October. So this does not look like success to me. This looks like you being attacked by bees in one sense, meaning smaller parties that have the ability to inflict pain in one sense, and an actor, meaning Iran, that is beyond your peer. There's nobody that can convince me that a country of 8 million people has any notion of being able to take on a country of 90 million. And Iran was able to show, A, that they have the ability to hit Israel, meaning their air defense cannot stop Iran from hitting them. And B, have the ability to take down what Israel can throw at them. No air defense is perfect, but I'm making the point of the stuff that Israel was throwing at Iran that night. Iran was able to take down much of it. One of the other main points I want to make, just today, Hezbollah opened up holy hell on Tel Aviv. Apparently, they fired over 340 missiles, drones, missiles, etc., at Tel Aviv, Haifa, and there was, I believe, the port of Ashdod. They were able to inflict a significant amount of damage, like this. This is one of the locations. I believe this is one of the attacks that took place in broad daylight. And I believe, no, I think that was the last image of it. Yeah. Oh, you weren't able to see that. Let's try that one more time. There's no sound to this one, but this was the fire that broke out after the attack. Here's another one with a hitting an apartment or a house or some kind of These attacks were in direct retaliation for Israel hitting Beirut. Basically, Israel hit Beirut, killed upwards of 40, 50 people, leveling basically a block or hitting apartment complexes in the middle in broad daylight. It's outrageous, right? And so Hezbollah's response was, if you hit us, we're going to hit you back. In fact, that was what the new leader of Hezbollah mentioned in a video that came out earlier today. If you hit us, we will respond, in which case you're seeing them respond in kind. Israel said that Hezbollah launched 340 missiles right here. Hits Ashdod Naval Base in Tel Aviv. Hezbollah's largest Hezbollah targets Israel military sites after Israel kills 20 in a strike in central Beirut as EU top diplomat calls for a ceasefire. I have to be honest with you. I don't know how the ceasefire is going to work. I don't know how it's going to work. Here's the other one. Israeli tanks and troops were forced to retreat from a strategic hilltop position in southern Lebanon, al-Bayada area, as Hezbollah pounds it with a barrage of anti-tank missiles. So they are getting as good as they get. I do want to point out, though, that Hezbollah is hitting, for the most part, military targets. Israel is just killing women and children. Part of the reason Israel is hitting Beirut like this is they're trying to force the government into some kind of deal, maybe even push the government into a civil war. If the government, it took me a while to get my head around this, and Laith, my producer, had to kind of explain this. Laith is Lebanese Syrian descent. The Lebanese government is not involved. All of this resistance from the incursion of Israel is taking place with Hezbollah. Hezbollah is fighting it, not the Lebanese government. Some of the negotiations that are taking place, however, are with the Lebanese government. Okay, so you can right off the bat see the problem with this. You have the government and you have an organization that is not really part of the government, even though Hezbollah is part of the government in earnest. How do you come to a deal with the government when it's Hezbollah that's engaged? I don't know how that works. And it seems like what they want is to be able to sign a deal where Israel can have a free hand in southern Lebanon to do pretty much whatever they want. Basically, they would own southern Lebanon and allowing that free hand in southern Lebanon. And even, if possible, to get Lebanese troops to somehow engage Hezbollah itself. Basically, provoke a civil war. That doesn't seem to be happening. It seems to be creating a certain amount of unity among the various groups in Lebanon. Also, one of the negotiations, at the very least what they were talking about, was trying to get Israel to withdraw, Hezbollah to withdraw, and have government soldiers patrolling the area. And in patrolling the area, apparently have UN peacekeepers with them patrolling the area. Okay, well, UN peacekeepers are already there. They don't seem to be keeping the peace. And in fact, they seem to be getting bullied by the Israeli force that's on the ground there. Also, to the point, Hezbollah, if you remember, initiated those attacks as a direct result of Israel murdering and slaughtering Palestinians. Meaning, any deal that takes place, if indeed they're able to reach some kind of deal, which I don't think they're going to be able to reach, but if indeed they reach a deal, the plan, I would imagine, would be to isolate Gaza. Basically, we can reach a deal with Hezbollah, we can stop them from firing missiles and getting engaged, and we can go back to murdering women and children in Gaza unopposed by the other resistance groups, which is why I don't think they're going to accept any kind of deal. And again, any deal that takes place is kind of weird because you're making a deal with the government, not necessarily with Hezbollah. I don't quite know how that works. I'm going to see if Laith can join tomorrow. Laith Marouf, to have a conversation about it. He lives in Lebanon. He is in Beirut currently. And any negotiations that are taking place, I would imagine he's going to be more aware of a granular level as opposed to this kind of high-level talks. From my understanding, Netanyahu killed any sort of deal that even had the opportunity to bubble up over the course of the last several weeks. So, again, Hamas wanted a deal months ago. Israel did not. Netanyahu specifically did not. From my understanding, Hezbollah even wanted a deal or was willing to accept the deal at a certain point. Again, Netanyahu did not, regardless of how the U.S. talks about it. The reality of it is Netanyahu who doesn't want the deal. And I suspect from his point of view, there are two things that are going on. And there may be more. One, staying out of jail, because on December 2nd, he's going to have to go to court for the corruption trial. And that case is still ongoing. The moment that he gets out of office, he will be put in a cage, most likely. Two, looking at himself in this kind of historic context. This idea of, I'm going to be the man to create greater Israel, using October 7th as the precipice, as the thing to which I can attest it to. Basically, it's my casus belli to kill and murder a lot of people to create this greater Israel. And the third point, it's impossible to do that through negotiation. meaning anything that Israel gets is going to have to steal. Anything it steals is going to have to steal in a time of war. You can't necessarily be in a peacetime and steal land in a large way, in a way that they've steal land. The justification wouldn't necessarily be there for it, even though that is what they've been doing in this kind of slow moving expropriation of territory and land, especially in the West Bank. We will see how this unfolds. Personally, I don't think Israel is winning this, though. You're still fighting Gaza. You're stuck in Lebanon, southern Lebanon at this point. Yes, you've been able to decapitate a lot of people and kill a lot of people, but those wars are still ongoing. You have another attack that's going to take place from Iran. Yemen and the Houthis have been knocking down ships in the Red Sea to prevent those ships from delivering supplies to Israel. And more to the point, you've even had European states denying port of entry to ships going to Israel, especially if they're bringing in weapons or something like that. The Israeli economy is in the toilet. It has to be, right? If you think of the number of Palestinian workers that are no longer working because those people are dead or those people have been expelled from the area, you think of the number of people that have left Israel, there might be like 1 million people. It's only a country of 8 million people. You get 1 million people to leave. That's a huge number of people to leave that area. And I don't know how you continue like this. Meaning the moment that people stop seeing Israel as a safe haven, Israel ceases to exist in real terms. So yes, you have the capability of killing a lot of people, but the issue goes beyond just the number of people you can kill to the existence of the country as a viable entity in and of itself. Meaning, from my point of view, it's existential from Israel's standpoint. I could be wrong on this, but I don't know how they keep this up. At this point, they're a world pariah, and millions of people were huddling in buildings and huddling down. Some of the videos are fascinating from air raids. I don't know how you keep that up. I don't know how you keep that up. So let's see. Oh, Jesus. Okay. We have super chats. Let's see. Cobley 2 became a YouTube member. Thank you, Cobley. Welcome to the family. Welcome to the family. Plimsky became a YouTube member. Welcome to the family. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Kevin Slims. I don't see Trump making it any better. I see him giving everything they want, including regime change in Iran. That part I don't see. I agree with you. Trump is going to give them everything that he wants. But so is Joe Biden. Is there really any extent that Joe Biden would not have gone? If Israel came out yesterday and said, we are going to annex West Bank, which they did, by the way. We're going to annex West Bank. And you had the press secretary saying something to the effect of, well, once those military operations are over with, Israel will allow those people to go back. Very next day, Israel comes out with an article. Those people will not be allowed to come back. So their objectives are clear in this case, in what they want to accomplish and what they're trying to accomplish. The U.S. is just being dishonest about it. Trump is going to go into a fundamentally different world than the world he left. Saudi Arabia and Iran are having military exercises together. Russia and Iran are about to sign a strategic agreement or strategic military agreement. I have no idea what's in it, but the fact that it's a strategic military agreement, I would imagine there's going to be some kind of military cooperation between the two. 90% of the oil that China gets comes from Iran, meaning Iran it's not an isolated country anymore in the way that it was prior. And it's not at war with its neighbors in the way that it was prior, meaning it's not at Saudi Arabia's throat. All of these are part of the organization BRICS at this point. Israel at this point is pariah, even among the Muslim nations that are in the area. Saudi Arabia even came out saying Israel or Iran is not to be attacked. I guess I'm saying it's a fundamentally different world than the world that Donald Trump left. And he's going to come into a situation that is far more complicated in regards to the Middle East. He told Netanyahu, get this over with before I get into office. I suspect he doesn't necessarily want to deal with this. And it is very possible, in the same way that it took Nixon to go to China, it may take somebody like Donald Trump to come to some kind of resolution with Iran. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I guess from my point of view, how much worse can it be? Joe Biden has presided over genocide at this point and has given Netanyahu any and everything that he wanted, including political cover as he committed that genocide. Honestly, Joe Biden's name should have been on that ICC arrest warrant every bit as close or every bit as much as Netanyahu was. Since it is impossible, or would have been impossible, for Netanyahu to do all of this without us giving him 70% of the money, guns, weapons, etc. to do it. So I feel you, but I don't know. And I'm trying to hold out a shred of hope that it's somehow different. Even though I agree with you that Trump is probably going to give Israel any and everything that he wants, just like Joe Biden gave Israel any and everything that they wanted. Like, share, and subscribe. And to the new members, thank you guys. I am serious about having chess night. I used to have it all the time. I haven't had it for a while. And new members will be up. The challenge champ. Challenge the champ. You guys have a fantastic day. I will see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. It's going to be a damn good show. It's going to be a damn good show. Have a good one, all.